Optimism is not looking at a bagged sandwich and telling to yourself it's going to be delicious. Rather, optimism is holding a bagged sandwich, knowing that it is a bagged sandwich, telling to yourself honestly that yes, it is a bagged sandwich, but based on your previous experiences, based on your learnings so far, and based on what you do next, and based on how you look at things in life, you can ensure that you are going to improve the sandwich that you are going to be holding tomorrow. Hello there, a big shout out to all my senior students of DRS International School once again. And once again, I am going to keep this video really short and quick for all of you because I know how super busy you all are with your lives right now. So, the topic of the video today, I want to talk about pessimism. I want to talk about fear. I want to talk about that entire gamut of negative emotions that all of us go through from time to time. And especially with the lockdown and these tough, uncertain times around us right now, most of us, if not all, most of us, even the best of us, are going through these constant, periodic phases of negativity, negative emotions, low self esteem, self doubt. So, what I want to ask all of you through today's video is, are you feeling pessimistic? Are you constantly feeling afraid? Or are you looking out to your future and are you feeling gripped about it? Could it be that you are afraid of happiness? No, I don't believe that people are ever afraid of happiness. I feel that if you are constantly feeling pessimistic and afraid and constantly feeling gripped about the future of your life, a couple of things could be going on in your life. And being afraid of the feeling of happiness is certainly not one of them. So, what could be going on in your life and in your psyche? What could be going on in the neurological chemistry of your brain? Because at the end of the day, if we look at things in a very simplistic manner, in a very grassroots level kind of a manner, it is actually really possible to break down entire life systems, to break down the entire body, the entire mind structure into simple chemistry. Our body, our mind, our emotions, our entire life, our actions, our behavior, our speech, everything can boil down to just basic biochemistry. So, a couple of things could be going on. In fact, more than a couple of things could be going on with your brain chemistry, with the chemistry of your body, with your mental chemistry, your neurological chemistry, whatever name you want to give it to be able to understand it better. So, what could be going on? Number one, it's a pattern. This tendency to feel pessimistic from time to time, this tendency to be constantly afraid of this or that, or this tendency to be gripped about the future whenever you think about it, this insecurity which you feel for an unknown, uncertain future. It could be a pattern. Probably this pattern has become deeply ingrained into your neural architecture right from your childhood. Probably you have been surrounded by negative people or negative environments right from childhood. And that is why during this entire phase of growing up, it kind of got really deeply ingrained into your physiochemistry, biochemistry. There can be times when parents or your wards or your caretakers, you know, could have told you that you are not good enough. Or probably you have seen grown ups around you, your parents around you, caretakers being constantly afraid of change, constantly pessimistic of situations in their own life. And that probably a little bit of that pessimism, a little bit of that feeling of being scared got rubbed off onto you. That could be one reason it has now become a pattern, because you really could not help it when you were growing up as a kid and you were surrounded by all these negative people, negative environments. And I'm not just talking about family and relatives. It could have been friends. It could have been friends of relatives, friends of parents who were constantly visiting you when you were growing up. So it's a pattern. And before you could even realize it, it really became a part of your system. It became a part of your system when you were a kid growing up. And now it is a part of your system as an adult. Number two, could it be a question of your self worth? Do you suffer from what I call as a feeling of low self worth, low self esteem? Do you constantly feel low about yourself? Do you feel that you are not able enough? Do you feel that you are not enabled to do things in life or achieve feats in life, accomplish things in life, achieve your dreams, your goals, your desires? Is it that? Is it that you are not afraid of the feeling of happiness, but you feel that you don't deserve happiness? Maybe you feel that you don't deserve to be happy, and you don't deserve to be happy because you have a low self esteem. You feel you are not good enough to deserve all that happiness in your life. You feel you are not good enough to enjoy and relish that feeling of happiness. That could also be a case to consider. And this can again boil down right to your childhood. Negative people around you, negative situations, negative environments with negative people all around you, constantly pointing fingers at you and telling you how you are not good enough, how your friends or your peers or the other kids your age around you are better, and they're doing things better, and they're scoring better grades at school, and this one is good and this one is good, and look at her and look at him and see how she's doing that and see how he's able to do so much and you are not. If you have been constantly surrounded by grown-ups who have been giving you these negative messages, who have been constantly telling you that you are not good enough, who have been constantly comparing you to the other kids around you, to the other kids at school, who have been constantly comparing you to them and telling you how they are way better, how they are much better off than you, how they are more gifted, or more blessed, or more talented, or more hardworking, or just more able than you. If that is the case, then it could be a question, a very big question of low self worth. Another thing that could be going on, do you think of a feeling of pessimism or this feeling of being scared as your own identity? Do you get attention out of it? Are you getting enough mileage out of it? Are you getting things done in your life by being constantly pessimistic, by being constantly afraid, by being constantly gripped about your future? If you feel that you are able to draw more attention to yourself by being afraid and sad and worried and anxious all the time, then maybe that is what you have been doing all this while, subconsciously or even unconsciously. And it has now become a part and parcel of your personality, of your behavior, of your entire day to day life. People are constantly watching you as a pessimistic person, as somebody who's always afraid, as somebody who's always worried. And if that grabs you enough eyeballs, grabs you much attention, and you enjoy that attention, then it's a warning sign. So, if you were raised in an environment like that, my dear students, if you were raised in a negative environment like that, and you don't even know it's really happening to you, you know, as kids, we don't realize what impact negative words can have. As kids, we don't realize the impact of words spoken by our elders to us and the kind of a deep impact that it can have in the psyche of our brain. So you don't even realize, and by the time you realize, it's already too late. And now you realize that, hello, every day of your life, you're just being pessimistic, pessimistic, pessimistic. You're always afraid. Before you realize it, things have changed inside your chemistry. And now your body feels anxious. Your mind feels anxious. Your body feels anxious because your mind is forever overthinking, overworking, and it is always in that anxious mode. And your body also starts to show physical signs of anxiety, muscle tension throughout the day, constant fatigue, both mental and physical. And sometimes you don't even realize that these negative changes are occurring inside your body, inside your brain, inside your mind. You don't realize that these negative changes are occurring. I'm calling them changes. I'm emphasizing the word changes. Why? You don't realize that these are changes happening to your body. You feel it is natural for your body and your mind to be in that forever kind of a state of anxiety. You feel it's natural when it's not. Your body is changing for the worse. It's becoming anxious when it is not made to be anxious. It's not naturally built to be anxious for prolonged periods of time. But now you feel it's very natural because that is what you saw as kids when you were growing up. And then years and years later, with all that negativity around you every day, with all those negative people around you every day, you just happened to teach to yourself that yes, it's natural, it's normal, when it's not. And now your body is changing every day, becoming weaker, becoming more tense, becoming more anxious, becoming more pessimistic, and just afraid. So you are not realizing that these negative changes are occurring inside you. Probably you don't even realize what it feels like to be really happy and optimistic because you have not experienced those feelings. You have not relished those feelings in the past as much as you should have. So because you don't understand and realize how it is like to be happy and optimistic, you don't even look forward to it, or you don't try to make positive changes in your life to be able to experience those happy, positive feelings. But here's the good news. I have some good news for you. You can amp up your state of happiness. You can enhance optimism in your life. Just go out there, start exercising. Physical exercise has been scientifically proven to flush out all that negativity and stress and toxins from your entire nervous system, from all the joints in the body, from your shoulders, your hip joint, anywhere, wherever there might be some trapped stress or negativity. Physical exercise can really, really help you to get rid of it. Upgrade your friend group. Change your friend circle. Be more and more surrounded by positive people in your life. People who, in general, have a very positive, uplifting personality, who uplift themselves and who love to uplift those around them. Be surrounded by positive people now. If you have been surrounded by negativity during your childhood, now is the time to consciously change that group. And be in constant vicinity of relatives and friends who have a positive approach to life, who uplift you, who tell you that you are good, who tell you that you are unique, who can tell you that nobody can take your place. Somebody who can tell you that the way you can do things, nobody else can. And so you are irreplaceable. Optimism is not looking at a bagged sandwich and telling to yourself it's going to be delicious. Rather, optimism is holding a bagged sandwich, knowing that it is a bagged sandwich, telling to yourself honestly that yes, it is a bagged sandwich, but based on your previous experiences, based on your learnings so far, and based on what you do next, and based on how you look at things in life, you can ensure that you are going to improve the sandwich that you are going to be holding tomorrow. My dear students, just a few minutes ago in this video, I spoke about the case of having low self-worth. So there can be certain students who are suffering from low self-esteem or low self-worth. And why does that happen? It actually starts quite early in life when you are kids and when you are growing up. And you are constantly surrounded by these negative, pessimistic people who constantly have this nagging habit of pointing a finger at you and telling you how you are not good enough, how you are not as good as those around you, how this one can do this and that one can do that, but you cannot. And when a kid, a tiny small kid with a delicate psyche which is still in its developmental phase, keeps listening to such negativity every day, keeps listening to such pessimistic comments about himself or herself day after day with each passing day, it leads to the development of what we call as low self-esteem. And before the child realizes it, and sometimes the child even does not realize it, the child starts to believe that he or she is not good enough. And then in a bid, in a bid to achieve perfection, in a bid to achieve that sense of high self-esteem and high self-confidence and high self-worth, kids like these get into this very dangerous pattern of overthinking and rumination when they just get back into the past and keep overthinking about the events that happened in the past. Rumination is all about thinking and thinking and thinking about all the events that have already happened, that have gone by and are now a part of the past, that past which does not exist anymore. Let me tell this to you again. A past which is a past, it is not a reality anymore. So kids and adults also, adults who have a low self-esteem, children, teens, adolescent people, college-going students, high school students, it can be anybody around you. Anybody who is suffering from low self-esteem has this dangerous habit of constantly revisiting the past, events from the past, and overthinking about the events that have happened in the past, ruminating about these events which have happened in the past. And then what are they thinking about exactly from the past? They are thinking about all the bad events. They are thinking about all the so-called failures. They are thinking about all those events where things could have been better, where they could have done better to make things better. So they are constantly thinking about only those negative events from the past where things have gone wrong, where things have not gone according to the way they wanted them to go. So they are constantly thinking about their failures, constantly ruminating about their failures. They are never ever thinking about their own success stories. They are only thinking about their failures and what went wrong and what wrong they did. So what happens in their present? They get into this terrible and a poisonous habit of over-checking everything that they do, over-analyzing every decision that they make, over-checking each and every small thing that they do, over-analyzing the smallest decision of their life in their present moment. And all this over-analyzing, all this over-checking leads to the development of more self-doubt. Just try to take it onto yourself for a couple of seconds here. If you have a habit of constantly checking what you do, if you have a habit of constantly analyzing every decision that you make, are you not doubting yourself? This constant small action, this seemingly small action of over-checking, over-analyzing, might seem to be very small and innocent, but it is not. this small action over a period of time has got really deep negative connotations. This small gesture, this small act of over checking or over analyzing, this is just a small action, but this small action has got terrible, terrible consequences. And these consequences have got everything to do with the mind and the mental structure right here. So, all these seemingly innocent small actions of over checking and over analyzing are doing nothing else but sowing the seeds of self doubt deeper and deeper into that neural architecture of yours. So, kids and adults, both kids and adults who have low self esteem overthink and ruminate about their failures in the past. And then they get into the mode of over checking and over analyzing everything that they do and all the decisions that they make in their present life, which further leads to more self doubt. And this extra self doubt again leads to a lack of self esteem. So, can you see how it's becoming a vicious cycle? Basically, low self esteem leads to more self doubt, and more self doubt leads to the lowering of self esteem. It becomes a vicious cycle. And these people try to convince themselves that no, it is not low self esteem. They are just striving for perfection. And in their bid for perfection, they tend to overcheck everything to make sure that no mistakes occur. In a bid for perfection, they overanalyze every decision that they make to make sure that none of the decisions that they take are incorrect, so that they can achieve what they call as perfection. And this perfection in their life can then lead to the development of higher self-esteem. So these people do not believe that they have low self-esteem. All they're trying to do is achieve perfection. That's what they tell themselves. That's how they convince themselves that they are not suffering from low self-esteem. They are just striving for perfection. But subconsciously, what are they trying to do as human beings? It is a classic case of survival of the fittest. They're trying to survive this life. And to be able to survive and thrive in this life, they must have higher self-esteem. So they're trying to build higher sense of self-esteem by achieving this perfection. Overchecking, overanalyzing, just to become perfect, so that they can inculcate more and more self-confidence, so that they can enjoy a sense of higher self-esteem, higher self-worth. That is what is happening. And do you know the other side of the story? The reverse can be equally true. People who have higher self-worth, people who enjoy high self-esteem, also tend to sometimes become desperate for more and more perfection in life. And that can also lead to overchecking. That can also lead to overanalysis of everything that they do. And slowly, over a period of time, over a period of years and years, before they realize it, and sometimes they don't even realize it, that all this overchecking and overanalyzing is sowing the seeds of self-doubt in their minds as well. And this self-doubt slowly, like a menacing bug, starts to lower their self-esteem also. And they start doubting their capabilities more and more. So whether you look at it from one angle, from one point to the other in one direction, from low self-esteem, overthinking, rumination, overchecking, overanalysis, which leads to more and more self-doubt, trying to achieve perfection like this so that they can achieve more self-esteem, or the other way around. People with already high self-esteem who tend to become more of perfectionists end up overchecking, overanalyzing everything that they do, end up building more self-doubt, which leads to the lowering of their own self-esteem before they can even realize it. This vicious cycle works both ways. People with low self esteem trying to achieve more self esteem, and people with already high self esteem slowly and slowly falling prey to this disease of low self esteem, becoming victims of self doubt. And what is the common link in between these two? Overthinking, rumination, self doubting, overchecking, overanalyzing everything about life. The why, what, how. It all boils down to overthinking. Too much rumination in the head, too much complication, the mind's becoming a soup. And this overthinking leading to checking everything, analyzing everything. This overthinking over the period of time turns into anxiety. This anxiety slowly becomes a general anxiety disorder. What do you mean by general anxiety disorder, or GAD, or GAD as we call it? People don't even realize that they are suffering from anxiety because they are overthinking every day. It becomes a normal part of their life. It's not unnatural to overthink anymore. It becomes a part and parcel of their life. It becomes a dormant disease, and they don't even realize that it's a disease because it's become so natural for them, so normal for them to overthink every day. That's the problem. All this overthinking leads to anxiety, and this anxiety becomes a general anxiety disorder. It leads to more and more anxiety in your mind. The mind becomes stressed out, it becomes tired with so much overthinking. Once the mind becomes stressed out, this anxiety, all this anxiety which is developing right there in the mind, this anxiety which is developing in the mind, which is making the mind stressed out, it starts to travel to the entire body, the entire nervous system, all the joints in the body, especially the shoulders, the neck, the hips. Sometimes seemingly healthy people who eat clean, work out every day, follow a healthy lifestyle, complain of shoulder pain or joint stiffness or stiffness in the hips, lack of flexibility in the body, stiff, sore muscles. Why? It is nothing else but this anxiety which is now trickling down into the cells and the tissues of their physical body. And I believe there's nobody else who's more qualified than me at DRS to be able to tell you that yoga talks so deeply about this mind-body connection. Anxiety in the mind leads to anxiety in the rest of the body. And that is what we call as general anxiety disorder. This general anxiety disorder over a period of time leads to a completely whacked out situation, a completely stressed out situation where you can't take it anymore, where you are filled with so much of self doubt, where you are so full of self doubt. It leads to a point in your life, the situation becomes so stressed out and so out of control that you can't take this self doubt anymore, that you can't take this overwhelmingly negative feeling of low self esteem anymore. You become so whacked out, you become so stressed out, everything in your life turns to bleak, everything in your life looks like doom and gloom, that your nervous system can't take it anymore. You're so stressed out. Your mind, your nervous system can't take it anymore. You are so full of self doubt. You are suffering so badly from low self esteem that everything around you looks hopeless. You feel that you are hopeless beyond treatment. When such a stage comes in your life, when you are so stressed out, when a stage comes in your life, like the entire nervous system, that your entire mind is so stressed out, when your entire mind is so fed up, when your entire mind is so full of self doubt, when your entire mind is reeling under this constant pressure of low self esteem, when such a stage comes in your life, that's when you suffer from what we call a mental breakdown, or just a breakdown. You break down. You must have heard this about so many people around you. So and so just broke down, collapsed one day. You just suffer from a mental breakdown. You just break from this constant pressure that you have to go through every day. It's a mental breakdown. You collapse. And when you collapse, when you go through this breakdown, that's when you start to feel that every situation in your life is now just hopeless, that you are hopeless, that you have no point of recovery or return. That's when you start to feel and believe that you don't have the ability or the capability to treat yourself, to make yourself better, to recover from the situation. And when you reach that point of hopelessness, when you break down to such a level where you feel that you have reached a point in your life where there is no hope at all, where there is no scope to return to normalcy at all, when you reach a point in your life where you start feeling so negative about yourself and your abilities, when you reach such a point in your life where you have broken down to such an extent that you feel that you're absolutely hopeless, when you feel that you have absolutely got no ability left inside yourself to heal yourself, to recover from this trauma, or when you feel that you have lost all ability to be able to figure out a way back, when you feel that you have lost all the ability to be able to figure out a way for yourself to just return to normalcy, or to be able to find a point of return to normalcy, that's when everything around you becomes hopeless and dark and bleak. And that is when any person enters into a state of depression, a place from where there is no return, a point of no return. Depression is that state in life, in anybody's life, God forbid, it should not happen even to my worst enemy. Depression is that dark phase of anybody's life where he or she starts to believe that there is no hope of recovery, there is no hope of return, that there is nobody out there who can probably help you. Well, in fact, in life, the truth is this: there is going to be actually nobody to help you. But yes, there are situations where the positivity or the positive energy of certain people, or the positivity of certain practices, or the positivity of certain activities can help you to return back to normalcy. But depression is that state of anybody's life where any person starts to believe that there is absolutely no hope, that there is absolutely no hope at all, that there is absolutely nothing that he or she can do in terms of a practice or in terms of an activity, in terms of changing their lifestyle, where they feel like there is absolutely nothing that they can do in terms of all these activities and practices so that they can be able to return back to normal. Depression is that state of life where anybody, and when I say anybody can fall into depression if they don't check themselves soon enough. Depression is that phase of anybody's life where you lose absolute hope in yourself, where you lose absolute faith in your own abilities, in your own capabilities to be able to build the strength and the ability to be able to treat yourself. Depression is that state of anybody's life where that particular person literally starts to believe that he or she does not have the ability or the capability to build the strength and the power and the skill set to be able to heal, to be able to recover, to be able to treat themselves, to be able to heal themselves, to be able to bring themselves out of this rut, to be able to scoop themselves out of this well of darkness, and to be able to take themselves back to a life of normalcy. So overthinking leads to anxiety. Anxiety leads to a general anxiety disorder. And this anxiety leads to a completely uncontrollable, stressed out, hopeless situation, which can make anybody fall into depression. So why do you want to go on to that route when you can, when you can nip the problem right in its bud stage? Like they say, a stitch in time saves 9. So the moment you realize that you are falling prey to this disease known as low self-worth or low self-esteem, the moment you realize that you are falling prey to overthinking and rumination, the minute you realize that you are over-checking everything you do and you are over-analyzing every decision that you make, my dear students, it is time for you to stop right there. It is time for you to stop in your tracks, literally, and just blindly take a U-turn. Take a U-turn, command yourself to take a U-turn, and then tell yourself blatantly, out loud, that you are confident, that you have self-worth, that you are loaded, simply loaded with self-esteem, that there is nobody like you, like there is nobody who can replace you or do things the way you do them, like there is nobody who has the same skill set and the abilities and the gifts and the talents as you do. Better tell yourself that you are unique and nobody ever can take your place in this entire universe. Tell that to yourself. Take it from me. Believe it. Just take a U-turn the minute you catch yourself overthinking next time. Just take it from me. Believe what I'm telling you with closed eyes. Trust me. Taking a U-turn right at the moment you catch yourself overthinking is the simplest and the easiest thing you can do, and at the same time the most powerful and the most effective thing you can do to save yourself from overthinking, anxiety, stress, and depression. Having said that, it's finally time for me to wrap up this video. Stay at home, guys and girls. Stay safe. It's COVID-19 situation out there, so I want all of you to be safe, be good. God bless you all, and I love all of you.